Elena Vasquez walked through the huge glass doors of the Federation Council building. The building was so tall that clouds formed around its top floors. She had never seen anything like it on Earth. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that changed colors as she walked past them. Blue, then green, then purple lights danced across the surface. She carried a small data pad in her hands. On it was humanity's invitation to join the Galactic Federation. After 200 years of watching from the outside, humans were finally being asked to join the biggest group of alien species in the galaxy. Elena felt proud but also nervous. The Federation had 847 different alien species as members. Some looked like giant insects. Others were made of rock and crystal. Some had tentacles instead of arms, but they all shared one thing. They had given their best technology to the Federation when they joined. It was the most important rule. Every new member had to share everything they knew. Elena's team walked behind her. Dr. James Okafor was their expert on alien cultures. He had studied every Federation species for years. Commander Sarah Chen knew everything about military technology. Dr. Lisa Park was their best scientist. They all carried files about Earth's amazing discoveries. Humans had created incredible things. Their spaceships could travel faster than light, without using rare materials that other species needed. Human doctors had tiny robots that could fix broken genes inside people's bodies. Human engineers had built energy shields that could bend space and time. The aliens wanted these technologies very badly. As they walked through the building, Elena saw aliens everywhere. Some floated in the air, others moved on 6 legs. A few looked almost human but had blue skin and extra eyes. They all stared at the human group. Some pointed and whispered to each other. "They seem excited to see us," Dr. Okafor said quietly. "They should be," Commander Chen replied. "We have technology they have never seen before." Elena nodded but said nothing. She had been thinking about this day for months. She had studied the Federation's history. She had read about every species that had joined. She had learned their stories. And she had discovered something that worried her. They entered a huge round room with seats that went up to the ceiling like a giant bowl. Each seat was different, made for different kinds of alien bodies. Some seats had water for fish-like creatures. Others had special gas for aliens who breathed different air. The center of the room had a small platform where Elena would give her speech. Thousands of alien eyes looked down at her. The room was completely quiet. Elena could hear her own heart beating. This was the biggest moment in human history. An old alien with gray skin and 4 arms stood up. This was Council Speaker Thisis Har. His species had created the Federation 300 years ago. He spoke in a deep voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Welcome, humans from Earth," he said. "Today we celebrate as a new species joins our great Federation. For 3 centuries, we have grown stronger by sharing our knowledge. Each new member brings gifts of technology that help all of us. Today, humanity will add their remarkable discoveries to our common database." The alien crowd made happy sounds. Some clapped their hands or tentacles, others buzzed or hummed with joy. They all expected Elena to walk forward and hand over Earth's technological secrets. Elena looked at her data pad. She had written a speech about human achievements. She had prepared to list all the technologies Earth would share, but as she stood there, she thought about what she had learned from studying Federation history. She had noticed something strange. New species always brought amazing new technology when they joined. But after a few years, they stopped creating new things. They used what other species had shared instead of making their own discoveries. It was like they forgot how to invent. Elena made a decision that would change everything. She stepped forward to the speaking platform. The room became even quieter. Even the air seemed to stop moving. "Council Speaker Thisis Har, honored members of the Federation," Elena began. Her voice was clear and strong. "Humanity is grateful for your invitation to join this great alliance. We have watched your peaceful cooperation with admiration. We respect the bonds you have built between so many different species." The aliens listened carefully. They expected her to announce which technologies Earth would share first. "However," Elena continued, "humanity must respectfully decline to share our technological databases with the Federation at this time. The word decline hit the room like a bomb. Complete silence followed. No alien moved. No one even seemed to breathe. Elena could see confusion on hundreds of different faces. Some aliens had their mouths open. Others had stopped glowing or changing colors. A few started shaking their heads. Council Speaker Thisishar blinked all four of his eyes several times. He seemed to think his translator was broken. "I apologize," he said slowly. "Perhaps there was an error in translation." "Did you say that humanity refuses to share its technology?" "That is correct," Elena replied calmly. "We refuse." The room exploded with noise. Aliens started talking loudly in dozens of different languages. Some stood up and pointed at Elena. Others made angry sounds that hurt human ears. The noise grew louder and louder until Council Speaker Tishishar raised all four arms for silence. "This is impossible," rumbled a huge alien that looked like a walking mountain. "All species share their knowledge. It is our most sacred law." "There must be a mistake," clicked an insect-like creature. "Surely humans understand our traditions." Elena waited for the room to become quiet again. She felt scared but also determined. What she was about to do had never been done before in Federation history. "We understand your traditions very well," she said. "We have studied them carefully. We have learned about every species that has joined the Federation. And we have discovered something that concerns us deeply about your technological sharing system." The room fell silent again. But this time it was a different kind of silence. It was the silence of fear, not confusion. Elena took a deep breath. "We believe your system is broken. And we can prove it." The word broken echoed through the giant chamber like thunder. Elena watched as hundreds of alien faces showed shock, anger, and confusion. Some species had waited thousands of years for their chance to join the Federation. Others had spent decades preparing their technology gifts. No one had ever questioned the system before. Council Speaker Thisishar stood completely still for a long moment. His four arms slowly lowered to his sides. When he spoke, his voice was careful and controlled. "Ambassador Vasquez," he said, "you claim our most fundamental practice is broken. This system has brought peace and prosperity to nearly 1,000 worlds. It has ended wars and shared knowledge across the galaxy. What possible evidence could support such a serious accusation?" Before Elena could answer, angry voices erupted from the crowd. A tall alien, with silver skin and no visible eyes, stepped forward. "This is insulting," the alien said in a voice like ringing bells. "My people, the Calornians, have prepared for 50 years to join this federation. We have perfected our gravity manipulation technology specifically to share it. How dare humans suggest our sacred traditions are wrong?" More aliens stood up. A group of beings that looked like floating jellyfish began glowing bright red with anger. An alien covered in green scales pounded the floor with its tail. The noise grew louder and more chaotic. "Humans think they are special," hissed a snake-like creature. "They believe their few centuries of space travel make them experts on galactic civilization. Perhaps Earth is too primitive to understand advanced cooperation," added an alien with too many teeth. Elena felt her team move closer behind her. Commander Chen's hand moved toward her weapon. Dr. Okafor looked worried. But Elena remained calm. She had expected this reaction. "I understand your anger," Elena said loudly, her voice carried over the noise. "But we are not here to insult anyone. We are here to share an important discovery that affects every species in this room." "What discovery?" demanded an alien that looked like a walking crystal formation. "What could humans possibly know?" "That we do not." Elena looked directly at the crystal alien. "When did your people last create something completely new?" The alien paused. Its crystal face showed confusion. We share knowledge with the Federation. We contribute to joint projects. We improve existing technology. But when did you last invent something entirely original?" Elena pressed. "Something that came from your own minds, not from the Federation database?" The crystal alien could not answer. Around the room, other aliens began to look uncomfortable. They whispered to each other in worried tones. Dr. Okafor stepped forward. Elena nodded to him. He activated a small device that projected holographic images above the crowd. "We have studied Federation records for the past 200 years, Dr. Okafor said. We found something disturbing. Every species shows the same pattern after joining." The hologram showed a timeline with different colored lines. Each line represented a different alien species. The lines showed invention and discovery before joining the Federation, then a steep drop afterward. The Vespans were master biological engineers, Dr. Okafor continued. Before joining the Federation, they created new life forms every year. After joining, they stopped. They have not created a single new organism in 80 years. A group of insect-like aliens in one section of the chamber began buzzing with distress. These were the Vespans. The Zephyrians were artists who sculpted clouds and controlled weather. Dr. Okafor went on. Their cities were masterpieces of atmospheric art. After joining the Federation, they abandoned their creative traditions for standardized systems. Flowing, tentacle-like aliens started making low, sad sounds. Species after species shows the same pattern. Within 50 years of joining, original research stops. Innovation dies. Creativity disappears. Dr. Okafor looked around the room. You become consumers instead of creators. The chamber fell into uncomfortable silence. Elena could see aliens looking at their neighbors with new concern. Some were checking their own records on personal devices. Council Speaker Thisishar raised one arm. Even if this pattern exists, he said slowly, it does not mean our system is harmful. Perhaps species simply focus on different goals after joining. Perhaps they choose cooperation over individual achievement. That is exactly the problem, Elena replied. You have confused sharing with learning. You take finished technology and distribute it. But you do not understand how to create it. You have become dependent on the discoveries of others. Commander Chen stepped forward. We have also analyzed your military capabilities, she said. The Federation fleet uses the same basic designs it used 100 years ago. You have made small improvements, but no real advances. What happens when you face an enemy that requires new solutions? What happens when you encounter a problem that cannot be solved with existing technology? Dr. Park added. You have lost the ability to innovate under pressure. The aliens in the chamber began talking among themselves more urgently. Some groups were arguing. Others looked frightened. A small alien with large eyes spoke up. But we have made great advances through cooperation. We have combined technologies from many species. Yes, Elena agreed. But combination is not creation. You mix existing ingredients, but you do not discover new ones. You have built a galaxy-wide civilization that has stopped growing. Council Speaker Thisishar looked older than before. His 4 eyes showed deep worry. What do you propose then? Should we abandon 3 centuries of peace and cooperation? We propose something better, Elena said. We propose evolution. The chamber fell silent again. Every alien waited to hear what humans had in mind. We will share our technology with you, Elena continued. But not through simple data transfer. Not through easy downloads. We will share it through partnership. We will work together to understand principles. Not just copy results. We will teach you how our faster-than-light drives work, Commander Chen added. But only if your scientists work alongside ours to improve them. We will share our medical nanobots, Dr. Park said. But only through joint research that advances both our understanding and yours. Council Speaker Thisishar leaned forward. You want us to earn your technology, instead of simply receiving it. We want you to rediscover how to create, Elena said. We want to help you remember how to dream of what might be possible. Not just use what already exists. The chamber erupted in debate. Some aliens were intrigued. Others were insulted. But for the first time in centuries, the Federation was discussing fundamental change. Elena watched the chaos and felt hope. Change was never easy, but it was always necessary. 3 weeks after Elena's shocking announcement, smaller groups of Federation leaders met in private rooms throughout the council building. The main chamber had been too chaotic for serious discussion. Now, different committees wanted to hear humanity's evidence in detail. Elena sat in a smaller circular room with 30 alien representatives. These were members of the Cultural Preservation Committee, aliens who were supposed to protect the traditions and ways of life of Federation species. Dr. Okafor stood beside a large holographic display. "Show us your proof," said Committee Chairwoman Zlixera. She was a tall alien with purple skin and silver hair that moved like it was underwater. Her people, the Morphians, had joined the Federation 200 years ago. They used to be shapeshifters who could take any form they wanted. Dr. Okafor activated the display. It showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, with thousands of small lights representing different worlds. Each light represents a Federation member species. Dr. Okafor explained. Green lights show active technological development. Yellow shows reduced innovation. Red shows complete creative stagnation. The committee members leaned forward to look closely. Most of the map was red. Only a few yellow and green lights remained. And these belonged to the newest Federation members. "This cannot be accurate," protested an alien that looked like a walking tree. "My people have made many advances since joining. Could you give us an example?" Dr. Okafor asked politely. The tree alien paused. We improved the efficiency of Federation solar collectors by 12% last year. That is optimization of existing technology, Dr. Okafor replied. "When did your people last create a completely new method of energy collection?" The tree alien could not answer. Dr. Okafor changed the display to show detailed records for specific species. The crystalline collective once grew cities that were living crystal organisms. They could think and feel and change shape based on the needs of their inhabitants. After joining the Federation, they stopped this practice. Now they build standard Federation housing units. A crystal representative in the room glowed dimly with shame. The old ways were inefficient. Federation methods house more people with less resources. But your crystal cities were more than just housing, Dr. Okafor said gently. They were art, science, and architecture combined into something unique. That knowledge is now lost forever. Elena stood up. We studied 43 different species in detail. Every one shows the same pattern. Technological gifts to the Federation, followed by creative decline. She activated another part of the display. It showed the Vespans, the insect-like aliens who were master biological engineers. Before joining the Federation, Vespans created new life forms regularly. They grew ships from living tissue that could repair themselves and adapt to any environment. They designed plants that could survive in space without protection. They made creatures that could eat radiation and turn it into breathable air. The Vespan representative in the room made nervous clicking sounds with his mandibles. After joining the Federation, Elena continued. Vespans stopped all original biological research. They focused on maintaining and improving Federation bioships. But they lost the knowledge of how to create new ones. The last original Vespan creation was made 83 years ago. But we still maintain the bioships, the Vespan protested. We keep them healthy and functional. Maintenance is not creation, Elena replied. What happens when those bioships face a completely new challenge? What happens when they need to adapt to something you have never seen before? You have lost the ability to evolve them. Dr. Okafor showed more examples. The Aquatic Dominion had once built underwater cities that moved like living creatures through their planet's oceans. After joining the Federation, they switched to stationary bases using standard Federation technology. The nomadic stellar wanderers had developed spacecraft that could survive for thousands of years without any external resources. They now used Federation supply ships and space stations. Each species traded their unique abilities for standardized solutions. Dr. Okafor explained. The Federation database has thousands of technologies, but most member species only know how to use them, not how they work, or how to improve them meaningfully. Committee Chairwoman Zelix Ara looked troubled. Are you saying our entire civilization is built on borrowed knowledge? Not borrowed, Elena corrected. Shared freely and with good intentions. But sharing finished technology is different from sharing the ability to create technology. Dr. Lisa Park joined the presentation. She showed medical data that made the committee even more uncomfortable. We also found psychological changes, Dr. Park said. Young people in Federation species are less likely to pursue original research. They study existing Federation knowledge instead of exploring new possibilities. Educational systems have changed to focus on using current technology rather than understanding principles. The display showed brain scan comparisons between older and younger aliens from the same species. The differences were clear even to non-medical experts. Older aliens show brain patterns associated with creative thinking and problem-solving. Dr. Park explained. Younger aliens show patterns associated with information processing and application. The neural pathways for innovation are literally weakening. A small gasping sound came from several committee members. This is not intentional, Elena said quickly. No one planned this outcome. The Federation's goals were noble. You wanted to share knowledge and reduce conflict. But the unintended consequence has been to create dependency instead of growth. Chairwoman Zlix Ara was quiet for several minutes. When she spoke, her voice was sad. My people once could become anything we imagined. We could take the form of fire, or water, or light itself. Our children today can only shift between a few basic shapes. We told ourselves it was because the old ways were unnecessary. But perhaps you lost something precious. Elena finished gently. Dr. Okafor showed one final piece of evidence that shocked the committee into complete silence. It was a projection showing the Federation's technological development over time compared to theoretical projections of what could have been achieved. If member species had continued their original research while also sharing knowledge, the Federation would be centuries ahead of where it is now. You would have technologies that seem impossible today. Instead, progress has essentially stopped. Elena looked around the room at the troubled faces. We are not here to blame anyone. We are here to offer a solution. Humanity wants to help the Federation rediscover its potential. How? Asked the tree alien quietly. By changing how knowledge is shared, Elena replied. Instead of giving finished technology, we propose collaborative development. Instead of transfer, we propose partnership. Instead of dependence, we propose mutual growth. Committee Chairwoman Zelix Zara stood up slowly. This will require changes to our most fundamental laws. The other committees will need to see this evidence. The full council will have to vote. We understand, Elena said. Change is never easy. But stagnation is worse than change. As the committee members filed out of the room, Elena could see them thinking deeply about what they had learned. Some looked angry. Others seemed excited, but all of them now understood that humanity's refusal was not an insult. It was an intervention. The Federation was about to face the biggest decision in its 300-year history. The private meeting room was smaller than Elena expected. Council Speaker Thisishar sat across from her at a simple table. His 4 eyes showed the weight of 3 centuries of tradition being challenged. Outside the window, alien ships moved through the sky like schools of mechanical fish. Your evidence has caused chaos throughout the Federation, Thisishar said quietly. Half our member species are questioning everything they believed about our system. The other half want to expel humanity immediately for insulting our achievements. Elena remained calm. Truth is often uncomfortable. Truth, Thisihar repeated. You speak of truth as if it is simple. But you ignore what our system has accomplished. Before the Federation, species fought constantly over resources and territory. Wars lasted for millennia. Entire civilizations were destroyed. Our sharing system created peace. We do not dismiss those achievements, Elena replied. Peace is precious. But peace without growth leads to decay. What happens when you face a threat that requires new solutions? Thisishar was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke about something Elena had not expected. 60 years ago, we encountered something at the edge of our galaxy. A probe from somewhere far away, using technology we had never seen. It was clearly artificial but completely alien to everything in our databases. Our best scientists could not understand how it worked. Elena leaned forward. What happened to it? It left after a few months of study. But it returned briefly 5 years later, then again 15 years after that. Each time, it was more advanced. Each time, our inability to understand it became more obvious. Thishar's voice grew worried. The next visit is expected within 20 years. We have learned nothing new about it, because you have forgotten how to learn, Elena said. You can analyze what you know, but you cannot comprehend what is truly foreign. Perhaps, Thishar admitted. But changing our entire system risks destroying the peace we have built. Some species are already talking about leaving the Federation if we accept your proposal. Elena had expected this. Change is always risky. But remaining the same is sometimes more dangerous. Thishar stood and walked to the window. You ask us to rebuild our civilization based on the ideas of a species that has existed in space for only 2 centuries. Why should we trust humanity's judgment over our own experience? Why? End quote. Because we are not asking you to trust us, Elena replied. We are asking you to trust yourselves. To remember what you were capable of before you became dependent on sharing instead of creating. Over the following weeks, the Federation held emergency sessions unlike any in its history. Representatives from all 847 species met in groups, discussed in committees, and argued in the main chamber. Elena and her team presented their evidence to dozens of different audiences. Some species were convinced immediately. The Altarian Coalition, a group of young species that had joined recently, supported humanity's proposal strongly. Their representative, an alien with blue skin and golden eyes, spoke passionately in the main chamber. We have felt the creative decline beginning in our own people, the Altarian said. Our youngest generation shows less interest in original research with each passing year. We want to change this trend before it becomes irreversible. Other species were completely opposed. The Quartzites, crystal beings who had been Federation members for over 2 centuries, saw humanity's proposal as an attack on their way of life. Humans accuse us of stagnation, their representative said angrily. But we have achieved stability and prosperity. We have eliminated conflict and want. Why should we risk this security for uncertain possibilities? The debates grew intense. Some species threatened to leave if changes were made. Others threatened to leave if changes were not made. Federation unity faced its greatest challenge ever. Commander Chen presented military evidence that concerned many species. Your fleet designs have not evolved meaningfully in 100 years, she told the military committee. You have many ships, but they all use variations of the same basic systems. A truly innovative enemy could defeat you with technologies you cannot understand or counter. But we have achieved peace, protested a military representative. We have not needed to develop new weapons. Peace is not permanent, Commander Chen replied. The probe that visits your galaxy proves that others exist beyond your borders. What if they are not peaceful? What if they decide your territory is valuable? Can you defend yourself with century-old thinking? Dr. Park's presentation to the Health Committee was equally disturbing. Medical advances have slowed dramatically. You treat known diseases effectively, but you are unprepared for new ones. Evolution does not stop because you share databases. New viruses and genetic problems will emerge. Your current system cannot adapt quickly enough to handle biological surprises. As the evidence mounted, more species began to support change, but the opposition remained strong. The vote was scheduled for 30 days after the debates began. Elena spent those days meeting with individual species representatives, answering questions, and addressing concerns. What if your partnership system fails? Asked a worried delegate. What if collaboration leads to new conflicts? All progress involves risk, Elena answered. But the risk of trying something new is smaller than the risk of continuing something that is not working. What guarantee do you offer that humanity will keep its promises? Asked another. The same guarantee you offer each other, Elena replied. Trust, communication, and shared commitment to growth. Quote, the day of the vote arrived. The main chamber was packed beyond capacity. Every seat was filled. and more aliens watched from viewing areas throughout the building. The tension in the air was thick enough to feel. Council Speaker Thisishar stood at the center of the chamber. Today we vote on the most significant change in Federation history. The proposal is to modify our technological sharing system from mandatory transfer to collaborative development partnerships. The voting process took hours. Each species had one vote, but many needed time to consult with their home governments through faster-than-light communication. The galaxy waited while decisions were made. As the votes were counted and displayed, the result became clear. It was closer than anyone had expected. Some species that had seemed supportive voted against the change. Others that had appeared opposed voted in favor. The final count appeared on the giant display. 436 species in favor, 411 against. The change had passed by the narrowest margin in Federation history. The chamber exploded with noise. Some aliens celebrated. Others expressed outrage. A few species immediately announced they were leaving the Federation. Thisishar raised his arms for silence. When quiet returned, he looked directly at Elena. "Humanity has convinced us to take a great risk," he said. "We hope you are correct, that partnership will serve us better than our traditional sharing. The responsibility for proving this now falls on all of us." Elena stood and spoke to the entire assembly. "This is not humanity's victory over the Federation. This is the Federation's victory over its own limitations. Together, we will rediscover what is possible." As the session ended and aliens began filing out of the chamber, Elena felt both hope and fear. The real work was just beginning. Now they had to prove that change was worth the risk. The galaxy would be watching closely to see if humanity's radical proposal could deliver on its promises. 1 year after the historic vote, Elena stood in a laboratory that had not existed before humanity joined the Federation. The walls were transparent aluminum, and through them she could see the impossible. A Vespan bioship growing in real time, guided by human medical nanobots and powered by Altarian energy crystals. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, Elena's new research coordinator, approached with excitement in her eyes. "The latest tests are incredible," she said. "The bioship is not just healing damage. It is actually improving itself. It is learning from every repair and becoming stronger." Elena watched as tiny nanobots moved through the ship's living tissues. The nanobots had been modified through collaboration between human and Vespan scientists. They understood biological systems in ways that neither species could achieve alone. "The Vespans are remembering how to dream," Elena said quietly. 6 months earlier, the first development partnership projects had begun. Instead of humans simply handing over their technology, mixed teams of scientists worked together to understand and improve it. The results exceeded everyone's expectations. The human Vespan bioship project was the most dramatic success. Vespans had not created new living vessels for over 80 years, but working with human medical technology had rekindled their biological creativity. Young Vespan researchers who had never seen original bioship development were now leading innovations that amazed even their elders. "Look at this," Dr. Tanaka said, pointing to a section of the ship where the hull was changing color. "The Vespans figured out how to make the bioship communicate through color patterns. It can now tell us about problems before they become serious damage." Elena smiled. This was exactly what she had hoped for. "Have they shared this discovery with other teams?" "Better than that. They are teaching the color communication principles to the quartzite crystal engineers. Apparently, crystal formations can also be programmed to change color as information displays. This was the key difference from the old system. Instead of simply adding new technologies to the database for others to copy, species were learning underlying principles that they could adapt to their own unique abilities. Elena's communication device buzzed with an urgent message from Commander Chen. She was at the human Altarian energy research facility on the other side of the station. "Elena, you need to see this immediately," Chen's voice said. "We have achieved something that should be impossible." Quote, Elena took a transport pod across the massive research station that had been built specifically for partnership projects. The station orbited a binary star system, using energy from both stars to power experiments that would have been unthinkable before. She found Chen in a laboratory filled with floating energy fields that glowed like small suns. Altarian scientists worked alongside human physicists, their golden eyes bright with excitement. "Show her what we discovered," Chen said to Dr. Zarethis, the lead Altarian researcher. Dr. Zarethis gestured to a containment field in the center of the room. Inside it, a ball of energy rotated slowly. But this was not ordinary energy. It seemed to bend space around itself. Human, faster-than-light technology uses space-time manipulation, Dr. Zarethis explained. Altarian energy crystals can store and focus power in ways humans had never imagined. When we combined these principles, we created this. Elena stared at the energy field. "What exactly is it?" "A space-time battery," Chen said with amazement. "It stores not just energy, but compressed space itself. A ship using this technology could travel distances that normally take weeks in just a few hours. But that is not the most exciting part," Dr. Zarethis continued. "This discovery has inspired our young people to return to traditional crystal singing." Elena looked confused. Crystal singing? Before joining the Federation, Altarians used harmonic vibrations to grow and shape energy crystals. It was considered an art form as much as science. After joining, we abandoned it for standard Federation energy collection methods. Dr. Zarethis's golden eyes glowed brighter. But working with human scientists reminded us that our traditional methods had scientific principles we had forgotten. Now our youth are learning both the old songs and new physics. This pattern was repeating throughout the Federation. The Zephyrian atmospheric artists had returned to cloud sculpting, but now they incorporated human weather control technology to create art that could also function as planetary climate management. Their cities were becoming beautiful again, while also becoming more efficient. The Crystalline Collective had begun growing living crystal cities again, but enhanced with human energy shield technology. The new cities were not just buildings. They were massive computers that could think and respond to the needs of their inhabitants, while protecting them from any environmental threat. Elena received reports from partnership projects across Federation space. Each one told the same story. Species were rediscovering their unique abilities while incorporating new knowledge from collaboration. But the most significant changes were not technological. They were cultural. Dr. Okafor met Elena at the station's observation deck, where they could see ships from dozens of species moving through space. The vessels looked different now. Instead of standardized Federation designs, each ship reflected the artistic and cultural traditions of its species while incorporating advanced partnership technologies. "The psychological changes are remarkable," Dr. Okafor told her. "Young aliens throughout the Federation are choosing research careers again. Applications for scientific education have increased by 300%. They are remembering that they can be creators instead of just users," Elena said. "More than that, they are discovering that creation is more satisfying than consumption." The old Federation system provided everything they needed, but it did not provide purpose or challenge. Elena's personal communicator signaled an incoming message from Council Speaker Thisis Har. His image appeared in holographic form. "Ambassador Vasquez," he said. And Elena could see that he looked younger somehow. "I am contacting you with remarkable news. 3 species that left the Federation after our vote have requested to return. They want to participate in partnership projects." "What changed their minds?" Elena asked. "They have seen the innovations coming from our partnerships. More importantly, they have seen their own young people leaving to study at Federation partnership facilities. Their brightest minds want to be part of the creative renaissance we are experiencing." Elena felt a warmth of satisfaction. "What about the mysterious probe that visits your galaxy?" Thisis Har smiled, an expression Elena had never seen from him before. "Our combined human quartzite Morphean team believes they have developed sensors that can understand its technology. When it returns next year, we will be ready to communicate with it properly." After the call ended, Elena walked through the research station. In every laboratory, she saw something that had not existed for centuries in Federation space. Genuine innovation. Scientists from different species worked together not just to use technology, but to understand and expand it. She stopped at a window that showed Earth in the distance. Her home planet looked small and blue against the vast starfield. 2 years ago, humanity had been alone, watching the galaxy from the outside. Now, they were part of something greater, not by surrendering their uniqueness, but by helping others rediscover theirs. Dr. Tanaka joined her at the window. "The Federation Council has voted to rename our organization," she said. "We are now officially the Galactic Innovation Federation." Elena nodded. Innovation. Instead of just cooperation. Creation. Instead of just sharing. "The universe is vast," Dr. Tanaka said quietly. "We will need all our creativity to explore it properly." Elena thought about the alien probe that would return next year. She thought about the countless other mysteries waiting beyond the edge of known space. The old Federation might have been too dependent on existing knowledge to face such challenges. But this new alliance of creators and dreamers could face anything the universe offered. As ships from hundreds of species moved through the starfield outside, each one unique but part of the greater whole, Elena realized that humanity had given the galaxy something more valuable than technology. They had returned the gift of wonder. The knowledge that the universe still held infinite possibilities for those brave enough to seek them. The humans had shocked the Federation Council by refusing to share their technology. But in doing so, they had shared something far more precious. The reminder that the greatest discoveries lay not in what they possessed, but in what they dared to imagine together.